Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about The Bloodhound, which is an adaptation of The Fall of the House of Usher, but set in modern-day Los Angeles that came out last year around December. But I didn't watch it until recently, and I watched it with Jack, and the movie was so fucking weird, and I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
That I felt like we definitely needed to do a vlog on it.
Oh, yeah. Alright, first warning. This is definitely a pretentious film.
Yes.
However,
unlike the movie
unlike the movie we just vlogged, which a lot of people called pretentious, but I was like, no, it really isn't. This one is, but it feels like it is that way on purpose.
Yes, well, because, okay, the way I would describe this movie is that this feels like the kind of weird movie where the filmmakers are partially trolling the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the kind of vibe you get from, like, say, David Lynch movies.
Yeah.
It's also the kind of vibe you get from movies like, say, like The Greasy Strangler.
Yeah.
They're weird.
The movies that dare you to watch
them. They're weird and bizarre and awkward, but part of the point is kind of trolling the audience and begging them to we dare you to take us seriously.
Yeah. Just keep doing it. See if you can get to the end.
But I actually really dug this movie.
It's the weirdness of this film cannot be overstated.
But the thing that's the weirdest of all is that it's actually a pretty faithful adaptation of The Fall of the House of Usher, with the main major change being the ending, which we'll talk about when we get to the spoilers.
Yeah, but up until that last moment, it's pretty much the Edgar Allan Poe story.
Yeah, it's just, they've added all this, quirky weirdness to it.
Yeah, because, one of the main conceits of the film is that the main character, who is the narrator in Fall of the House of Usher, the guy who's come out to the house to see his old friend and see how he's doing, and that old friend is like a dead sister and all that shit. You know, that character, he's very straight. He's played very straight.
Yeah.
The guy who plays the friend, however, talks as if he is the character in the Edgar Allan Poe story itself.
Yeah. So he's like a modern day character, but he's talking in that kind of Edgar Allan Poe cadence.
Yeah.
So it's like this ye old sophistication thing he's got going on. Civil society speak.
Yeah.
But he's also really awkward.
Yeah. Super awkward. He will always, he's that guy who sits just a little too close to you, to the point where you're like, are you hitting on me, dude?
Yeah.
But you can't tell.
He was weird in a way where for a while I was wondering if he was supposed to be coded as neurodivergent, but that wouldn't explain all of the weirdness.
No.
It would explain some of it, but not all of it.
No, because one of the first things these characters do after they reunite is they get in sleeping bags and have a sleeping bag worm war.
Okay, one thing I really want to commend this movie for is the comedic timing of its editing is amazing. Because they will have these really weird, awkward scenes, but the way it is cut is funny as hell. So you have this scene where he's just oh, you're back. Well, we should do the thing we used to do, and it's just oh no, we can't do that. And there's this awkward pause, and it just cuts to them in sleeping bags. And there's this pause as we take in them just standing there, both with sleeping bags over their heads, they're fucking ghosts with fucking sheets on them. And then they start Godzilla roaring and running at each other. What? And here's what I love about this. Okay, I get what's happening here. You have when they were kids, they used to put on sleeping bags and fucking have wars with each other inside the sleeping bags. That's a thing that some kids do. I even did that as a kid. But the way it's presented in the movie is so weird and awkward, it just comes across as hilarious.
Yeah.
but it's intentionally so. You can tell that that's part of what they were trying to craft.
Oh
here.
yeah. It's you're not supposed to think it's normal.
Like, it's a movie that feels like its tongue is firmly in its cheek the entire time.
Yes.
And that's not even getting into, like, some of the other weirdness that happens in this movie, because, like, there's, like, a may or may not be monster in this movie.
Yeah, the movie starts out with this guy crawling out of the ocean and into this house, and then it just crawls into a closet and shuts the door. Now, this, to me, feels very stage production-y.
Yeah.
You know, like someone was like, oh, we'll have someone represent evil, the editors of the house, man. And he'll, like, literally enter the house when, and then the characters show up.
And we'll call him the Bloodhound.
Yeah, we'll call him the Bloodhound.
Because blood is thicker than water.
Yeah.
It's pretentious, it's hilarious, and you're right, there is a vibe to this movie that feels like a two-man stage play.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Yeah, like waiting, like fucking House of Usher by way of Waiting for Godot.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's got that kind of vibe.
I think they may even actually talk about masturbation in this movie, but I can't remember.
Oh, they did at one point talk about watching porn together.
Right.
Which leads to a very hilarious scene where he shows him his favorite porn, which is one of those weird, awkward scenes where I'm just like, well, I mean, I'm glad you're comfortable, like, just, sharing your interests with your friend and stuff, but, like, I feel like you have a problem with boundaries.
Yeah, because, like, how to put it is, no matter how much you love your homie, you don't necessarily want to watch porn with them.
It's inherently awkward.
Yeah.
But you have the one character who doesn't get how awkward it is, and the other character who's just insanely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, like, the dynamic, like, it's weird. This is a great example of a movie that utilizes awkward comedy really well. Where the situation is awkward, but that's kind of what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like that's the thing I want to stress. This movie's weird, awkward, pretentious, hilarious, and I loved it.
Yeah. That's...
But here's the thing. Isn't that also just kind of like, if you remove the humor aspect, isn't awkward and pretentious kind of Edgar Allan Poe?
It's kind of Edgar Allan Poe all over, yeah.
Like, I love him.
Yeah. Well, like, here's.
I mean, I don't love the guy, but I love his work.
Yeah, you love his work because, like, I mean, he was dead before we were born.
Yeah.
And he married his cousin.
13-year-old cousin.
13-year-old cousin. Yeah, a little weird. But more importantly, as far as this is concerned, the thing is that I feel like only someone who deeply understands Edgar Allan Poe could actually do this movie. Because imagine, alright, so, like, the other Edgar Allan Poe movies that we see are like the Roger Corman ones.
Oh yeah, I love those ones.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah. But they're very like Hollywood movie.
Yeah,
you know, they got like traditional plots and or only barely tangentially related to the material.
And they always have someone like Vincent Price playing a Edgar Allan Poe alike.
The pit, the pendulum. Yeah, exactly. Now, this is because Edgar Allan Poe translates horribly to fucking screen, because they're all about what people are feeling when things are going on.
Yeah, it's
not much actually happens.
It's the same problem with Lovecraft stories a lot of the time. Like, you have to add a lot to most Lovecraft stories, because so much of Lovecraft stories are someone talking about how they felt in an experience.
Yeah. Or talking about things that other people did.
Yeah. Or describing things that are described as indescribable.
Yeah, but there's some kind of action happening.
That's true.
Like,
compared to Edgar Allan Poe.
Compared to Edgar Allan Poe. Like, take the Telltale Heart, for example.
True.
All right. If you take away all of the prose and if you take away the Edgar Allan Poe-ness, you're left with a plot, and the plot is, guy goes next door, kills a dude, comes back, cops come to his home, and he freaks out.
Yep.
The end.
True.
stretch that out for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know, like
I was impressed at their ability to stretch the Fall of the House of Usher.
Well, a lot of it is just by having really long, awkward takes that go nowhere.
but like they do that for comedic effect so often. I really love that. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Apparently, Gomez is decided to declare that he was not as much of a fan of the movie because there was not enough cats.
Not enough cats in it?
I don't know if you can hear them, but if you can, comment below and let me know.
Yeah, well, like, one of the things that I did kind of fucking appreciate, with the porn scene, the thing I liked about the porn scene, other than it just being funny, was that it was kind of like, oh no, you kind of actually understand that there's like this incest undertone to this fucking story.
Which there's a lot of that in Edgar Allan Poe's stories kind of underneath the surface. I mean, he married his cousin.
Yeah. Like, clearly he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. So, alright, we're going to move on to the spoilers. The Bloodhound is currently available on various platforms. Pick a poison and enjoy. And hi, Gomez. You can't see him, but he's right there. He's decided to...
being a Catosaurus Rex.
Grace us with his meow presence. And let us move on to the spoilers.
How do you spoil this movie?
Okay, the only thing we can really
ending
spoil
is... Yeah, the main thing is the ending.
Is the major change. And that's that... Okay, so in the Fall of the House of Usher, like, the house itself is directly connected to the main character's friend. So when the main character's friend dies, the house literally falls. This movie doesn't have the house literally fall. It has a different series of events happen.
Yeah, it doesn't have... Hey, I don't got the budget for that.
Because a huge chunk of this movie is the main character and his friend discussing loneliness and isolation. Which, after a pandemic, loneliness and isolation, I thought that was pretty fucking relatable. So it's mainly them talking about loneliness and isolation because, like, the friend has just kind of decided to isolate himself in this house and hasn't really connected to anyone except for his own family, and most of them are gone now.
Yeah, and his sister is just completely nuts.
Yes, completely. And so that's part of the reason why he invited his friend over, is because this is an old friend. Like, I want someone to share this with and not just be alone, which is why he's so excited to show him things like the porn or bring back their old game where they're wearing the fucking sleeping bags, because he's looking for that connection again. He hasn't had that connection in a while, and he wants that. But the friend finds him so weird and off-putting, he really wants nothing to do with this. And he kind of betrays their friendship while they're there, to the point where he actually, like, steals money from him.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that his friend is loaded and that, like, he has this cash box full of money, and then he won't be hurting if he takes it, so he takes it and kind of shoves it into a bag and hides it.
Yeah.
So that when he leaves, eventually, he will take the money with him.
Yeah, which is weird, because you find yourself going... Wait, you're gonna steal the money and then keep it in the same house that he is
because
in?
part of the idea of this is you get the idea that the main character plans on leaving, but then kind of gets, like, wrapped up in everything and doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's just, he's kind of like wrapped up in the house the same way his friend is at this point. But, like, by the end of the movie, after trying to connect with this guy throughout the entire film, the friend basically kind of gives up. And this is after most of the series from the House of Usher actually start to take place, right down to the sister dying and being hidden in the vault.
putting her in the mausoleum and all that jazz.
So, like, he just goes down to the mausoleum and dies. It's ambiguous as to how he dies. But you get the idea that it was like a broken heart.
Yeah. It's like your own post story.
And this is also after he basically gets the guy to admit that he stole the money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so the major change is that instead of the house falling, the fortune that he had and the house itself is left to the main character, with this note left behind in the will. Now, and I love this. Now you know what it's like to have everything and no friends. That is the ultimate troll dick move, but you know what? The main character kind of deserves it at this point.
Yeah.
I really liked it. It's different. That part, that element, and that whole subplot about like loneliness and stuff. Like some of that is in The Fall of the House of Usher, but there's a lot of it that was added for this movie, and I really liked that element.
Well, yeah, because it was so there's so many ways of describing this movie. One that I came up with that I particularly like was, it's like Fall of the House of Usher if it was filmed like Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, it does have a little bit of that, right? It does have a little bit of that. You know, so I kind of like that in the end, even though the other guy was weird and off-putting and kind of had trouble with boundaries, and he was like overly excitable, and he had like memory problems sometimes. Like at the end of the day, all he wanted was a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and the other guy just refused to even consider it.
Yeah, and you just sort of, and there's a part of you that understands why.
Yeah, you kind of get it, because it is off-putting.
Yeah, but then you're like, then why don't you leave?
Yeah. Well, why do you keep playing on the charade? And it's like, oh, I can get this money out of him and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then but then he gets the money and then he doesn't leave, and you're like,
yeah.
Look, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to explain to me why you won't leave this house. And then he kind of does, because he's like, well, I just realized I didn't have anywhere to go.
Because the thing you gotta understand about this movie is that on top of all that like interpersonal drama happening between him and his friend, and the sister being crazy and then eventually being found dead in the basement, there's also like this subplot of that Bloodhound monster thing coming at night, and like the main character's like seeing ghosts of the sister, and like there's these weird psychedelic like dreams that happen at certain points. So like on top of all this, you just have weirdness happening.
Yeah.
And you're not sure how much of it is real.
Yeah, like it's really hard to tell whether the Bloodhound himself, for whom the movie is named after, even literally exists in the universe of the movie.
You're not sure. You're not sure.
Yeah, it does that fucking Black Moon thing where you're like, look, I understand what the metaphor is, but I need to know if the characters in the movie are seeing the same thing I'm seeing.
Like, there's a point in which he has to hide in the closet, but not hide in the closet, but hide in the bathroom because the thing's going on a rampage in the kitchen and shit, and bashing things. It's like,
he's like, what? You know, it's because it's basically the thing that's happening that's causing the house to deteriorate. That is the house literally falling. Yeah. Rather than having that crack that just keeps fucking going, it's this fucking weirdo just showing up randomly.
Yep. This movie was weird as fuck. I liked it. I don't think it's gonna be for everyone.
Oh, your mileage will fucking vary on this.
Your mileage will 100% vary, but if this movie's to your taste, you're gonna have a good time with it. Like, if anything we've described sounds interesting to you, then this is worth checking out. It's so bizarre.
Whoa. Yeah, I liked it, but holy fucking shit, is it weird.
When the credits rolled, we just kind of sat there staring at the screen in silence for a good 5 minutes while we all tried to figure out collectively what to even say.
Yeah. Well, like, it did that. I brought up Black Moon for a reason, because that's the only other movie that I've seen that made me do that. Where I'm watching it and I know exactly, I know everything that I've seen, but I'm sitting there at the end going, huh? What? What just happened?
And we know that not everything's in their head, because there's like a scene with a pizza guy, and the pizza guy seems to be real, and we're like,
yeah, we're pretty sure pizza guy's real.
You know?
We're reasonably sure. Watch, it's gonna turn out that's the only thing that isn't.
That's the only thing that was in their head.
The only thing that's in their head.
The pizza guy.
He's the key to the whole thing. You know.
There's even a scene where they go out and get a cake. So.
Oh God.
The cake with the buttercream frosting.
Buttercream frosting on it. Yeah. Yeah, no shit, Kat.
I know, Kat. We don't know either.
Yeah. Cat's like, what the fuck? Look, we're like, what the fuck? We're like, what the fuck, too.
It's hurting the kitty brain.
It fucking hurt my brain. You know, but...
It hurts so good, though.
I had a lot of fun watching it. Because you're just sitting there going, like... There is no... You're sitting there going, like... There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
This is the whole movie.
And then it is.
Who has the balls to do something like that?
Yep.
And then, yeah.
That's the weird thing about that character. Like he's so weird and awkward and off-putting, but by the end of it, you kind of like him.
Yeah. Yeah. You've kind of grown a little accustomed to him.
You know. Oh yeah, there's also a point in which they bring in just like a piano guy and like a singer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I remember sitting there wondering, like, how much is it to hire someone like that to just come in?
How much money does this guy got to just be like, yes, I'm just gonna hire an opera singer to piano.
Put on a solo performance inside your fucking Los Angeles, like
your weird Frank Lloyd Wright house. Yeah. Oh my god! Like that's the other thing about it is that the house is like something from, it's like something out of Frank Lloyd Wright, and the entire aesthetic is super fucking what the fuck 70s.
Yeah.
You know that type of 70s that you would not that 70s that you see at like a grindhouse theater, but that 70s where everything looks like it's from the show, either the show The Avengers or The Prisoner.
Yeah.
You know, you're just sort of like, what? Okay. Like you have to expect a penny farthing bike to go by and like a giant balloon and shit, you know? Like it's like, well, okay, yeah, that's what happened.
So
It's not everything but a midget.
Yeah, there was a point in which I half expected the little guy from Twin Peaks to show up. And
Yeah. Or like Peter Dinklage should have been the pizza guy or something.
Yeah.
You know, just to add another level of what the fuck, and the pizza guy's also a midget.
Even though it doesn't quite go quite as crazy visually, there are many moments that made me think of Lynch.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's like a similar kind of like tongue-in-cheek fucking with the audience vibe.
Well, there's definitely a level of, I'm not explaining shit, that just happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
This dude just crawled out of slammed in the closet door, crawled out of the closet, crawled down the hallway, went into the kitchen, opened up the refrigerator, and he's still on the ground crawling, by the way. He doesn't use his legs, he just uses his elbows.
Yeah.
And then pulled out a bunch of food, and he's wearing a fucking like leather mask and like a leather jacket and like jeans. So like he just looks like a dude in a mask.
Yeah, he's like some weird hobo guy.
And he's growling and he's making all these weird noises, and he just pulls a bunch of shit out of the fucking refrigerator, starts shoving it in his face and throwing it everywhere all over the ground and going on a rampage, and you're just like, well, that just happened.
That just happened. Yeah, we were just standing here, man.
I mean, that might be the least weird thing to happen in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it was good to see someone with clear motivation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fuck this kitchen up.
I'm just gonna fuck it. And he's also leaving like mud streaks on the ground because remember at the beginning of the movie he crawled out of the lake. So.
Yeah, crawls out of the lake, sea, ocean,
whichever
it is, body of water.
Yeah.
And I just, oh my god, like.
And that's the Bloodhound, by the way.
That's the Bloodhound, by the way. Because they talk about feeling his presence, and I was just like, that's the Bloodhound. That's the okay, all right.
And that's on top of the sister being crazy and like breaking shit too.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Movie doesn't really like to explain itself. It just does shit.
You know what? I'm fine with that.
I liked it. Yeah. Despite the fact that I probably should be very angry and cross with the movie, I actually really enjoyed it.
It charmed me. It definitely charmed me. So if this movie sounds like it's worth it to you, then definitely check it out. And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jack?
Oh, probably actually a good litmus test of the movie. You can get through the first 15 minutes.
You can get through the whole thing.
You can get through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
if by the end of 15 minutes you're like, no, I can't take it anymore, the whole rest of the movie is like that.
Fair.
You can find me at Count_Jackula on Twitch, where I stream twice a week on Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can also follow me on Twitter at JackSatanWave, and you can follow me on Instagram at SatanicJackula. Feel free to contact me on those social media platforms and watch me on Twitch and say, geez, Jackula, I tried to watch that movie and I blame you. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And if you made it this far into the vlog, then I want you to work somewhere into your comment below, and be sure to comment below to let me know that you made it this far into the vlog. Hashtag Fall of the House of WTF.
Fall of the House of what the fuck?
Yes. Fall of the House of what the fuck, Fall of the House of WTF. Either one works. Work it into your comment below so that I know you made it all the way through to the end of this vlog. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah, that hashtag, you can only really be talking about this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Well, like some others, you could be like, oh, like, which killer doll movie is it, man? Yeah. But the Fall of the House of WTF, no, you're like, oh, guys are talking about Bloodhound. Yeah.
Yup.